and welcome back to another episode of Math with Sohn. Today we're going to be using the similar nature of solid figures like pyramids and cones and things like that to find missing information like volume or sides or surface area. To start off with, you are going to need to know about these two proportions. And the S is representing the side, SA would represent surface area, and V would represent volume. So the surface area is equivalent to the side squared, and the volume is equivalent to the side to the third power. We're going to be using these formulas to be able to find out the missing information that we need. Okay? So you're going to be given either the surface area or the volume or the sides of a given shape. They don't even have to tell you what shape it is. So this first one, I'm going to be given the surface area of one particular shape is 25 feet squared. And the side of that shape is going to be equal to 15 feet. And then there is a similar shape to this that has a surface area of 4 feet squared. And I want to find the side of that smaller shape. Okay? So when you're given this information, you have to look at what are you provided. And in this case, we're provided the surface area and the side. So we will have to use this top formula right here. And we're just going to set up a proportion. So I like to put the bigger numbers on the bottom of the fraction. So that's just the way I keep it consistent. So I'm going to start off with the sides that I have here. And I realize that this is the smaller shape because 4 is smaller than 25. So I'm going to put the 4 over the 25 for the surface area parts. So I got 4 over 25 for the surface area over surface area. SA over SA, and that is going to equal the side squared over the side squared. So I don't know this smaller side, so I'm going to put that as an S squared. But I do know the bigger side right here is 15, so that's going to be a 15 squared on the bottom. And we have just set up a cross multiplication problem. You can choose to do the 15 squared first if you want to, which I'm going to do. 15 squared is 225. So we have S squared over 225 is equal to 4 over 25. And then I'm going to cross multiply. We end up with 25 times S squared is equal to 4 times 225. And 4 times 225 is 900. So we get 900 is equal to 25 times S squared is just 25 S squared. From here, you want to kind of forget the fact that this S is squared and treat it as if you were solving that equation and divide by 25. If I divide 900 by 25, so I'm dividing by 25 on both sides, I get 36. So S squared is equal to 36. Well, from here, all I have to do is find out my S, and if it's S squared, I would square root, and I get 6. So it would be 6 feet, and that would be the missing side that we had here. Apparently it is 6 feet. All right, let's try our next one. So for our next problem, we are going to be given the volume of one shape is going to be 384 inches cubed because volume is cubed. And its side is going to be 8 inches. And we don't know the volume of the other guy, but we do know its side is equal to 6 inches. So because 6 is smaller than 8, that's going to be the smaller one. And that's going to be the one I put on the top. You can separate it from left to right as well. Now because we're dealing with volume this time, we don't want to have things squared, we're going to have things cubed. So the formula we will use this time is side of the third over side of the third equals the plane volume over the plane volume. All right, so I'm going to start with the volume parts because I don't have to square it or cube it. So I'm going to put the smaller volume, which is the right side this time, over the bigger volume, which would be x for that question mark over 384. And that's the volume over the volume. That would equal the side of the third over the side of the third. So that would be 6 to the third and 8 to the third. You can do 6 to the third and 8 to the third in your calculator. You can also multiply it by itself 3 times. 6 to the third is equal to 216, I believe. 6 to the third is 216. 8 to the third is 512, and that is equal to x over 384. Do not be intimidated by big numbers. This is going to be something that you get big numbers with. So we're going to cross multiply from here. 216 times 384, big number, will equal 512 times x, which is 512x. So we got to multiply 216 times 384. That is a big number. That is 82,944 is equal to 512x. So I have to divide that by 512, and I will get my volume as 162. So I divided by 512, I divided by 512, and I got the 162. And that is the volume of the smaller shape, almost the same. So this time we're going to be given the volume is 840 inches cubed, and the volume of the other shape is 105 inches cubed, and the volume of the bigger shape, that side, I'm going to say, is equal to 20 inches, and we're looking for the side of the smaller shape. So when we have this, we're going to have to use our side of the third over side of the third formula equals the volume over volume, because we're given the sides and we're given the volume. So I'm going to plug in things accordingly. I'm going to start with volume because I'm not missing anything there, and I don't have to cube it or anything either. So 105 I'm going to put over 840. And that would be equal to the side of the third over the side of the third. Well, the side of the third, the 20 is going to be belonging with the 840. So that's going to be 20 to the third. And the other side, we don't know, so we're either going to call it x to the third or s to the third. I like x. X is a little bit easier to write. So we're going to figure out what 20 to the third is. It's a big number. 20 times 20 times 20 is 8,000. Equals 105 over 840. Now we can cross multiply. We would have to do 105 times 8,000, and that is enormous as well. So we got 105 times 8,000 equals 840 times x to the third. Now I just did 105 times 8,000, and it is big. It is really big. It is 84 with 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. So 840,000 equals 840. It's kind of convenient. Times x to the third. We have to divide by the 840 before I can deal with this x to the third. So I'm going to divide by 840. And when I divide both sides by 840, I get 1,000. So it's starting to turn into a more realistic number. So we have 1,000 is equal to x to the third. And what we have to do here is cube root both sides, because it's not a squared here, it's a cubed. We have to cube root both sides And in most calculators, there is a special button that already has a cubed root. If your calculator does not have that, then there is probably going to be a button with an X and a square root there. And you would have to hit the 3 first. Most calculators already have the button with the 3 there. And if you cube root 1,000, you should get 10. So that would be what our missing side was, 10 inches. For our very last problem, we're going to deal with something that is slightly different. We're going to be given very similar information. You're going to be given the volume, 9 feet cubed, and you're going to be given the volume, 1944 feet cubed. We're not going to be given the surface area of this one. We are going to be given the surface area of this one. So something drastically different about this problem is you are not looking for anything involving a side. If you don't have a side in your given problem, then you will need to find the side ratio first. So we don't have a side at all here. We have surface area, we have volume. We have surface area, we have volume. You're not given a side at all. You need to find the side ratio, which is what we did in the part 1 of this series with dealing with similar solids. So we need to look at what we're given both of, which is the volume in this case. Okay, so if we're given the volume, then we do know that 9 and 1944 in some way is going to be equal to the side of the third to the side of the third. And what you want to do first, before just cube rooting, is simplify this ratio. And if you simplify the ratio, odds are it'll turn into something that will be a little bit more manageable. And you can divide both the 9 and the 144 by 9, and you end up with 1. And 1944 divided by 9 is 216. So if that is equal to side of the third, then you can figure out the side ratio by cube rooting the 1 and cube rooting the 216. And the reason these are to the third is because volume is to the third power. If it were surface area, it'd be squared. So it does relate to it in that nature. So we are going to cube root 1 and cube root 216. The cube root of 1 and the cube root of 216 would tell us those sides that we need. Well, the cube root of 1 is 1. And the cube root of 216 is 6. So these are our sides, or really our side ratio that we have here. And that is paramount to being able to figure out the next phase. Once you have that side ratio, then you can find out the missing information that we need, which is the surface area in this case. So you have to find the side ratio first, and then we're going to find what we actually were asked to find, which is the surface area of this missing shape. So now that we have the side ratio and we're looking for surface area, side squared over side squared will equal the surface area over surface area. Area is squared, volume is cubed. So we're going to use the side ratio for the sides here. So we're going to plug in the 1 and the 6 for the sides. So I'm going to plug in 1 squared over 6 squared, smaller over bigger number, equals, smaller shape is the one on the left in this case, so I'm going to put in x there. Bigger shape is the 468, so I'm going to plug in a 468 there. I didn't square the x because it just says surface area, not surface area squared. I didn't square the 468 because it's just surface area. It's already squared. So now we have got our cross multiplication. We can cross multiply. We get 1 squared, which is 1 times 468, will equal 6 squared, which is 36 times x. 1 times 468 is 468 equals 36x. And then we just have to divide 468 by 36. And you get 13 is equal to x when you divide by 36. And that, ladies and gentlemen, would be that missing surface area that we needed. Alright, so that's going to do it for today, everybody. Please have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye.